Jerry, what do you see in this version of San Francisco? Give us a little scouting report on what these 49ers bring.
I think they're very physical and distinguishably so. They've got really stout defensive line. They're really good in their offensive line. They've got to seem to have some pretty good flexibility there, position flex. They've moved them around a tad. But more importantly than anything, they use it. They use it on both sides of the ball, the physical part of it. So this team is about that. They're very confident. They've won some big games. They've won it against some good teams. They play in a tough division over there. That the playoffs just demonstrate that completely. By the fact there are 3 out of the 4 teams in the division, and Seattle was no slouch. So they come tested. They come playoff ready. They'll be tough.
Jerry, our biggest concern seems to be kind of the storyline for the week is that physicality. Talk about that, how big of a concern it is for you, and how you think you guys match up with your defense stopping their run game with the physicality and the creativity of Shanahan.
Oh, I have such respect for the coach Shanahan. I had respect for his dad. He's obviously comes with the pedigree of having grown up in it as well as having had success, and you've got to respect that. They've got a fine organization, and they've been to the Super Bowl since we have, obviously, and have competed here these last 2 or 3 years at a higher level than we have, and so we've got to factor all that in. This is there'll be a real mess to deal with out here Sunday.
Jerry, how were you taking in Sunday's games? Did you have a rooting interest in who you guys were going to face, or the road that you were going to have to take in the second round? Should you get there?
I spent that day on the NFL mix on the tube, and boy, I was watching them all at the same time and getting to them. And one of the most fun days that I've had watching NFL football in a long time. And I couldn't believe that our 17th week had come down to that type of competitiveness and that type of it was like a storybook as to all the things that depended on the outcomes of the game. Now, I know we were particularly involved, and every Cowboy fan and all of us were hanging on every nuance of every play, but still, it was quite a day. I spent the day in front of that TV set and really watching and could easily do it, although a couple of them were at the same time, watching all the teams that we had a chance to play, not only in the first game, but should we advance. And it just goes to show you how important our games were on the 17th week and how good it is to have that longer season.
Jerry, how do you define success once you make the play? Is it title or bust for you?
Oh, unquestionably. There's no in between. You really go into it with the expectation of being in the playoff. The league is designed to be 50-50. And so it is important to everything is set up to be 50-50. It's that competitive and that fair, the way it comes down, the way you can get players, talent acquisition. And so the denominator is to be but break the proverbial 50-50 mentality and of your record, 8-5. In this case, it can't be 50-50 now. It's 8-7 or 8-8 in the tie. But the point is to get here, you need to have distinguished yourself, and then once you get here, all bets are off. And a lot of that has got to do with availability of your players at that time. We're in good shape. We're in real good shape right now. And so, we should be excited and be planning on it. And there's, you don't have but one winner here, and that's the Super Bowl winner.
Jerry Jones right here on The Fan with Shan and RJ, brought to you by Ford. Speaking of being in good shape, Jerry, do you have anyone in the COVID protocols? And are you guys taking any extra precaution this week before the game?
Well, I really think our mentality, our practice of protocol has evolved. This last 2 or 3 weeks have been, as it has for the nation, have been really a heightened practice of awareness or addressing the COVID. There's no question that it's uptick. It's gotten more intense. We all see that every day in all of our lives, and so we have to be we have to be sensitive to that. Which means, yes, we have to pay more attention. We have to watch it more, and our players are as highly aware of what it means to get to play in this game Sunday, or what it means to be available over these next few days and weeks, if you will. They're more aware than any time I've seen them. Staff is more aware than any time I've seen. They're talking to each other about it. Well, that's the best you can do. Keep your distance, keep your mask up, get out there and watch your step. Remember the end game. End game is to be on the field Sunday. Now, don't be ridiculous. We don't want to do that at the expense of anybody's health, but we can do that. In the NFL, over the last 2 years, touching roughly 4,000 players, and no telling how many staff, we have had one case with a player being in a hospital for 1 day. 1 day, one player in the last 2 years. And so that's where you are on how effective the NFL's protocols have been over the last 2 years. And our Dallas Cowboys have led the league in attendance significantly over the last 2 years as well. And so we have a very good situation with our fans, our stadium, how we do our protocol.
Jerry, because of the inconsistencies with the kicking game, Zuerlein, has that altered the game plan at all? Like maybe you go for 2 a little bit more. Maybe you go for it on 4th and short instead of kicking the field goal. Has that altered the game plans at all?
Absolutely it does. And we're well aware, and we should be aware. That's part of running the show. And it really does. But Zuerlein really brings a lot to the table. His leg strength, his touchbacks, his ability to be a threat at a length of distance, all of that is there. He has had a exceptionally tough year for him in extra points, but he's a sound kicker, experienced kicker, and our guys are all sensitive about how to approach the game.
Jerry, how risky would it be just to go and get someone, a Kai Forbath or anyone off the street, so that you don't have to, live with the uncertainty of the missed kicks? Weighing that option, what's it been like for y'all doing that?
Very, you can rest assured that was the first thing that you look at, and if a better alternative would be out there, we'd be using it. Everything's at stake.
Jerry, a lot of talk around your staff, with Black Monday yesterday, and Dan Quinn and Kellen Moore and Will McClay was thrown into the news yesterday. How are you dealing with all that? And when can you guys start talking to potential replacements if you think you're going to lose somebody on the staff?
Well, one of the things that you're ready for, as a matter of fact, the league is so structured and so friendly to advancing coaches in their careers that it is not, when you're successful, it's not necessarily in the best interest. It's like the draft. It's not in the best interest of the successful teams, the league's protocol of helping coaches progress. Now, you're sitting here to the ultimate person that believes in opportunity in America. You can imagine where I've come from. And also, I don't know of anybody that has football be any better to it than I have.
Yeah.
That I'm talking about better to me than I have. And so I'm a big believer in opportunity. If I'm anything, I'm an example of opportunity. and taking advantage of it and advancing, if you will. And so that's where I am on it. But rest assured, when you're successful, it works to the teams that aren't successful's advantage. The rules in the NFL about the ability to move and advancement. On the other hand, when you're unsuccessful, it works to that team's advantage to be able to go out here and get and work to get other teams' coaches. That's just the way it works. The facts are, though, that you just have to have. You have to have about coaching just as you do players, and that is there's got to be, and there is available other people to take advantage of those opportunities, and that's the way it is in coaching. You just have to go get somebody else.
Jerry, officiating has been a big storyline for some of y'all's games this year, and the crew announcement came out yesterday. I look forward to kind of hearing your recaps and your previews, Sam. We know what crew this is. We know what to expect. Have you gotten the report, and do you have a good feel for what this crew will be doing or what they've done throughout the season that you're getting Sunday?
The answer is no. The crew is probably available. But frankly, I didn't look at that yesterday as to the crew. Good question. Very appropriate question for our team, where the crew is. The crew was outstanding the other day. I don't know that we've had a game that had fewer penalties called. And kudos to that. They've certainly had the let them play attitude. It's funny. I don't talk to anybody. Coaches, general managers, owners. I don't talk to anybody that doesn't want to let them play, except when they get in the nuances of what happened to them on their particular deal. And then they want some adjustments made in the rules. So that's what you're into.
Jerry, last one. I want to finish off with the head coach who joins us every Friday. This is why you brought him in, right? Give us your view on the playoff experience that Mike McCarthy can help y'all out with and what he brings to your sidelines in the playoffs.
Well, the fact we're in the playoffs is why we went to get him, and he's just done an outstanding job, and he's, of course, has evolved since he got here 1 year ago. There's never been a transition time for head coaches that was any tougher than last year in terms of moving into the team you're with. Mike told me last year that we had the best talent of any team that he'd ever been around. Last year. Best talent of any team he'd ever been around. So that as we have evolved, I think we're a better, more talented team than we were this time last year. I do. And so the good news is that we've been able to play it, and it's been on the field. The whole talent picture has been out on that field. I give him all the credit for that. He deserves the credit for having really the experience that we've got on that field as we come into the playoffs. He's been very astute relative to how he's worked with and evolved with Kellen Moore. One of the first things he said when he got here, he said, I want to have Kellen here. I want him to be here. Mike's an offensive coach, but he wanted Kellen here. And he was at the head of the list of the world in trying to get Dan Quinn in here when this came up last year. So the bottom line is that he's doing an outstanding job. He will be the first to tell you, don't give me any accolade. Do not give me one thing until we have won playoff games, until we have won the big game. And I would agree with him there. We have the greatest fans in the world. We have the greatest opportunity here. And I believe we all would agree that our quarterback is second to very few, if they're second to any in the NFL. You need a good quarterback to really think big or think you've got a chance in the playoffs. You need a good quarterback. You need a good defense. You need a good basic depth to play in these next three ball games, and four possibly. all of that, Mike deserves a lot of credit for.